As we get closer and closer to the end of 2015, I wanted to take this time to look back at all the crazy things that have happened this year. So not only did we get a new Star Wars and Jurassic Park movie, we got a brand new Dragon Ball animated series, both a Bush and a Clinton are running for the United States presidency. Come on guys, I thought we all agreed that there should be no more Bushes nor Clintons in office. And the original Digimon anime is making a comeback. Bruh, all you gotta do is announce that Doritos 3D are a thing and I am ready to freaking go. Afro included. Hey guys, what is going on? This is NGS. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking all about Digimon Adventure Tri. So what is Digimon Adventure Tri, you ask? Well, it is a celebration of all things Digimon. Last year, Toei Animation confirmed that a new animated series for Digimon was in the works. And to coincide with the 15th anniversary of the franchise, they confirmed that it would be a sequel to the original animated series. Now, you guys know the original Digimon anime. I don't think I need to remind y'all how badass Gen 1 was. Crap, wrong franchise. But, you know, they are kind of the same. You know, Digimon, Pokemon. They both end in Mon. I'm sorry, I was trying to make a joke and I've probably triggered like 16,000 people. Gen 3 for life! I just triggered 16 million people. But you guys remember the original Chosen 8, right? Taichi, Yamato, Koshiro, you guys know those guys, right? I was trying to avoid this, but I guess I kind of had it coming. Cue the intro music! So a new Digimon animated series featuring the original Digidestin, bruh, I was so on board. You didn't have to tell me nothing. About a year or so later, a bunch of teasers, story speculations, and character silhouettes that were pretty badass to say the least, we finally have the first part in the Digimon Adventure Tri story saga. And I gotta say, it was kind of cool to say the least. So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys what I thought about the first 4 episodes, or the first movie as it's known over there in Japan, and just telling you guys what I honestly thought about it. So first and foremost, I want to start off with some of the, I guess you can say, more controversial things that I noticed a lot of people in the community had towards Digimon Adventure Tri. You don't have to know anything about Digimon to notice there are a couple of key differences when it comes to the character designs. If you're looking at something from the original series and comparing it to now, there are some pretty notable differences between the two, and it's caused a lot of concerns from the fan base. A lot of people are thinking that this new character design is lazy, it's uninspired. I've seen a lot of people say that this is, quote, anime realistic, end quote, which I don't know how anime could be considered realistic in any way, shape, or form, but you know, this new character design has definitely drawn a lot of criticism from people, and it's something that I could definitely agree on, because if you're looking at something like the first Digimon series and then comparing it to this new series, there are a lot of differences. If you're looking at something like Digimon or Pokemon or any real cartoon that we watched growing up, you don't even have to put anime into this category. What was something that they all had in common? All of these shows were very vibrant. They were very colorful. They were meant to draw your attention, because as a kid, it was so much easier to grab your attention with shiny, sparkly things, very colorful things, as opposed to, you know, rich, deep character development plots and stories. I mean, let's just be honest. What are the things that kids are looking for? Not that, and it's evident in what you see on what's on TV right now. So when you look at the designs for, you know, stuff like Digimon and Pokemon, that definitely did draw a lot of us in. When you look at what's marketed towards kids and geared towards adults, there's definitely a distinction. That's not to say that stuff that adults watch doesn't have color in them at all. There's definitely a difference between them. And looking at Digimon Adventure Tri, this series was built specifically for the older Digidestin. These were for the kids who grew up watching Digimon, the guys who were like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, who are now into their 20s, you know. This was meant for them. So of course it's going to adopt a different art style to keep up with the times. And I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, granted, definitely is different, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Characters still look the same. I mean, I could tell that this is Taichi. I could tell that this is Yamato. I can tell that this is Sora. Okay, I probably can't because that's just a different Sora. But yeah, all the characters still do look like they're supposed to. I mean, of course, it's a different person who's, doing the character designs, but it's still something that's very noticeable for fans of the Digimon franchise, and it looks good in motion. So on that front, I can understand why people have some concerns for the characters, but realistically looking at it, those type of designs I don't think would hold up with this new art style. Moving along to the second point, which kind of ties into the character designs and what a lot of people had concerns for, the animation. Considering that this is animated by Toei and they haven't had the most stellar track record as of late, a lot of people were concerned that this was just going to be, another train wreck. I can confirm, though, that this is not a train wreck and the animation is pretty spectacular, to say the least. It holds up surprisingly well, and granted, there are a couple of scenes that look kind of wonky, but those are just me being a critic of Toei animation and not necessarily an issue with the show. So in the animation front, I'm very pleased with how Digimon Adventure Tri has turned out, and I'm looking forward to watching more of the show, especially in high definition. If you guys have a Crunchyroll account, I definitely recommend you guys watch this in HD because it's very beautiful. It's very pretty. But now that we've gotten those concerns out of the way, let's move into the main meat and potatoes of the video, and that's talking about the story for Digimon Adventure Tri. Now, the story for Digimon is something that I've been looking forward to more than anything, considering that growing up, not only did I love Digimon for the Digimon and the fights that they got into, but I loved it for its story. I know you hear this from a lot of Digimon fans, but it's true. Digimon just had a really, really good story, and there was a lot of deep personal stuff that the characters went through that you really didn't see from a lot of children's TV shows. They went through some serious stuff. Every character had like their own little arc, and they had things that they were dealing with. It was a great coming of age story, and I still hold it to this day in my heart as one of my favorite anime because of the things that they taught you. Not so much the sequel, however, which is Digimon Adventure 2. I mean, I went back and forth deciding on which one I liked more, but after rewatching both back to back a few years ago, I realized that the first one is more superior than the sequel because of the stuff that the characters went through. That's not to say that the second series doesn't have its merits, because it does do a lot of good things. There are a lot of cool things that happen, and a character in that show, Kenichi Joji, does go through some really harsh stuff. But for the other characters in the group, it just never feels like they go through anything worthwhile. I mean, they have their struggles, their internal battles, their conflicts. That is true. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't, but I felt like the characters could have been handled a lot better, especially someone like Takeru, who's also known as TK. He kind of does a complete 180 in the series, and I don't like him for it. And Adventure 2 actually opened up a lot more problems, to say the least, in terms of storytelling, because when they were hyping up Digimon Adventure Tri, I was wondering where they would place this in the timeline. Was this going to be placed after Adventure 1 but before Adventure 2, or is Adventure 2 going to be considered non-canon? That's what I was hoping for. But this is actually confirmed to be placed after Adventure 2. You see it in the first 2 minutes of the series. There's like a certain scene that shows that, hey, this is after Adventure 2 because it features those characters, which is kind of disappointing to me because I didn't really like the way Adventure 2 ended, to say the least, and it introduced some things that kind of caused problems with the beginning of Digimon Tri, because at the end of Adventure 2, spoiler alert, 30 years later, the proverbial wall between the digital world and the human world kind of comes down. Not literally, but figuratively. And, everyone's like familiar that this stuff is happening. I mean, it happened in Adventure 1. You see that there's Digimon around the world and stuff like that. But, as widespread as it was for Adventure 2, it made it seem like, okay, it's out in the open now. These are Digimon. In this series, which takes place 3 years later, everything's just gone back to normal. Digimon are not in the open, the Digimon are back in the digital world, so it's kind of jarring to see such a contrast from the end of season 2 going into season 3, to say the least. It's just weird that all the Digimon are back in the digital world. It just didn't make sense to me. Granted, maybe it takes some time for them to fully assimilate, and maybe something does happen in the time period that causes, humans and Digimon to, exist in harmony. But it's very strange when you see the end of season 2 and you have TK, who is now an established novelist. You have him come out here and he's like, 25 years has passed and the humans and the Digimon are coexisting harmoniously and all that. So it was just very weird to see that and then watch this and it's like, oh, they're not building towards that. I mean, I would have thought that at the end of season 2, you know, they would be talking about this sort of stuff, but no, whatever. I mean, maybe it's just me being an overly critical fanboy. That's probably what it is. But the first movie in this 6-part series, I gotta say, was pretty enjoyable. I know we're finally getting into discussion. I mean, I liked a lot of the things that they were doing with it. First and foremost, it was great to see the characters once again. I loved seeing everybody. I loved seeing them interact and just seeing them, you know, come together as 8 for the first time was just beautiful. I definitely felt, you know, some kind of way because, you know, these are characters that I grew up with when I was like not even 10 years old. Just watching these characters and just having them come back into my life was just, it was beautiful, you know. So I loved seeing that. But there is something I do have to say though. While it was great to see them, nothing really happens in this first movie or first 4 episodes. I mean, it's pretty dull to say the least. I mean, you're introduced to the characters once again, and there's, you know, Digimon conflicts going on around the world, but that's basically it. They don't really tell you much of what is happening. It's just, I guess you could say, build up for what's happening later. I guess I'm kind of disappointed because I assumed that, you know, this was going to be a movie, you know, it's going to be grandiose, it's going to be epic, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, but there really isn't. Outside of, like, you know, the final fight, the final encounter, that's basically the most exciting thing that happens, and it's just kind of like, okay, they're just doing their thing. So that was kind of weird to see. I mean, maybe I have to make a distinction between movies, what we're getting with this film series, because, you know, you think movies, you're thinking, oh, it's just gonna wrap itself up and it's gonna be hype. But with this, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. They try to introduce something with Taichi's character. He kind of becomes, I guess you could say, not the voice of reason, but the one who's affected most by what's happening in the digital world because, spoiler alert, there is some destruction that happens in the world and it causes a lot of damage and it leaves some people dead. I don't know. But Taichi's going through some really dark stuff and he's, you know, thinking that, is this really worth it? Should we get into these battles if it's causing nothing but, you know, quote, death and destruction? Which I think is an interesting thing to do, but it's kind of a moot point because, you know, this was something that the Digidestined had to deal with as kids. They had to learn that, you know, if they didn't do this, nobody else would. They're the only ones who can save the world. So death and destruction, let it be, because there would only be more of it if they don't do anything, you know? So that was really weird that he's going through this sort of situation. Maybe it's because he hasn't been a Digidestined in a long time and that's why he's dealing with it and that's why he has this problem, but it just felt kind of forced. It felt contrived. I'm like, why are they trying to introduce this fake drama when the other characters, you know, have dealt through these sort of issues? And I mean, that's basically it when it comes to the first 4 episodes of Digimon Try Guys. I mean, not a lot of stuff happens in it. Granted, this is a 6-part film series, so I should treat it as a 6-part film series. And obviously things are going to build up as you get, you know, closer and closer to the middle point of the series and then to the finale. However, that could be, you know, typical anime stuff where, you know, the first 4 episodes introduce you to the characters and the next 4 build things up and everything. I mean, that's probably what they're going for, but it's still kind of jarring that we have to wait so long for the next round of episodes because the first batch of episodes came out in November. The next round isn't until March. So that's a good 3.5 months until we get the next group of episodes, which is kind of disappointing because there's a lot to like about Digimon Adventure Try. There's nothing really exciting happening in the first 4 episodes. I guess we'll just have to see what they're doing with this. I have, you know, faith that they are going to do a good job with this, but the first 4 episodes really doesn't give people incentive to watch it. Everything just feels like it happens and there's like no real excitement in it, you know, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, I know it's for the older crowd, it's for the older generation, but we do want more excitement and maybe we're going to get that later on in the series. Anyway, you guys, that was my free flow discussion on Digimon Adventure Try. What did you guys think about the series? Let me know down in the comments section. I'm GS signing out and I will catch y'all later. Peace.